y'all? What's happening? It's me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. This is the July edition of the One-on-One with the Supervillain series. Members, for those of you all in the squad, you know what this is. I love doing this with all of you all. People who hit me up outside of those who subscribe to these. Thank you for we do these because these are fun for me, regardless of my exhaustion or tired or schedule or whatever. I love doing these. These are fun. I like talking to different people. We're talking around the country, around the world. Not the world, but around the country, and just checking out people's lives and everything. And I got a chance to talk to this man last month for the first time, and it was a great conversation, and we want to continue it. So, the homie Chris Lee, what's happening, sir?
Man, I've been busy. I just came off a 70-hour work week. And then play tennis for 4.5 hours this morning. So it was.
Oh, man, that sounds fun. I had to get up. Excuse me. I had to get up yesterday at 5:15 a.m. to be on set for a commercial at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, you're insane production.
Going
insane.
I didn't get off set till 8:15 yesterday evening. By the time I got home, I just had all I could do was get in the house, change clothes, put on my work clothes, and go back out to work the nightclub. Got off work from there at 2:15 in the morning. Got here about 2:30, 2:45, and go to sleep till 3, and was back up at like 8, 9 o'clock.
How was the nightclub after they started to shut things down? Was there any difference, or is they
haven't shut anything down yet? They haven't.
No.
So the thing is, they're doing the mask mandate again, and it's supposed to kick in.
That's more what I meant. Are they really?
They're not going to do this shit. So the LA County Sheriff has already said he's not going to enforce it. So with that, if the LA County Sheriff is not going to enforce it, that means that no establishment is going to be obligated to have to hold to it. So like the gym that I go to, 24 Hour Fitness, they sent out a notification via their app saying, starting Sunday morning, because they've been closing because they're normally 24 hours, but because of the whole pandemic situation, they've reduced their hours. But they're like starting at like Sunday at 5 a.m. when they open, mask will have to be worn throughout the gym. Here's the thing for me. I've never stopped wearing my mask in the gym. Like, I'm one of those people that didn't, like, the only time I might take my mask off is if I'm running on a treadmill. That's it. And that's only because I wear I wear different versions, different masks, but I wear my LED neck gaiter mask and it's felt. So after a while, it gets real hot. So that's the only time I take it off. Other than that, I continually keep my mask on. And so, it's just going to be interesting. Because again, I was asking my supervisor yesterday. I texted him. I was like, I texted him last night. I was like, hey, man, this is before I came to work. I was like, hey, man, let me ask you a question. How the fuck are we supposed to enforce this mask thing that kicks in at midnight while people have been drinking already and partying?
Yeah, because you're also the bouncer, so you're going to be like,
right,
getting the one that says to enforce it that are going to come at you.
So I was like, because that was the thing. I was like, I don't want to deal with that headache of trying to tell people who've been drinking. Because the rule is, if you're drinking or eating, you don't have to wear your mask. So basically, all everybody has to do is keep getting drunk.
Right. Because like the whole thing, so there's an outdoor area in South Carolina that we go to that, you can drink and walk around. And that was sort of the rule too. But it's like, once they start drinking and they have a drink in their hand and they start walking around with the drink, the mask is off anyways. So, I mean, no one can really enforce it at that point. It's like,
it's either, I hate to say it this way, it's either got to be all or nothing.
Exactly. Yep.
Because the in-between is what's causing so many problems. The in-between causes so many problems, so much confusion, so much unnecessary stuff. And so it's like dealing, I get it. I think the one thing, I get it, but I'm pissed off because at the same time, it's like, first of all, are you vaccinated? Let me ask you a question.
Yes, 100%.
Okay. So you and I
about this last time, J&J. So right. I got the one.
Right, you're right. My apologies. So we're vaccinated, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did what we were supposed to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
In California and other places that are seeing surges, those of us who got vaccinated did what we were supposed to do. we're feeling the ramifications of other people who didn't do their who refused to do this off of the dumbest shit, because it's like, I was just talking in the writers workshop I'm in. When we were kids, and when people have kids have to go to school, they have to get what? Vaccinated.
And when you leave the country, you have to get vaccinated to go to most places.
You have to get on.
What's funny is so many Christians are against this, but if you're going to do missionary work anywhere, they're going to make you get vaccinated.
If you're going to do missionary work, you got to get and not even just get the vaccines, show proof that you got And that's another thing. Like, people like, oh, what? This is like a violation. No, it's not. Because again, this is how I know. That's how you know people who've never traveled out the country, first and foremost. Mm-hmm. People, when you try to tell them, like, you do realize to go to certain countries, you can't even get on a plane unless
the rules don't apply. The same way we live, you can't expect when you go over there. It's the stuff with the Japan stuff. Some of that's you saw that the governing board or WADA, whatever, doing stuff. But two, if you have marijuana in Japan, you ain't coming back to that country, and you're going to be in jail in that country for a long time. And we know this from wrestling, like Evan Bourne's situation when he went over there.
MVP had a felony, and he couldn't go to Japan for a while.
So I'm like, man, if she did need that though for anxiety stuff, even if she needed it over there, man, that she wouldn't have been able to. That was awful.
And I don't know. Did you see today? It already came out that like a bunch of people have COVID in the Olympic Village.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, because Japan doesn't really believe in vaccines over there. They're starting to get them out now, but they don't believe in that stuff. Anyways, that's why they got hit again, and stuff gets shut down there. But I love our men's basketball team, by the way. Javion McGee gets added. Like, yo, what are we doing?
Well, I really, and I said this on Blurs, and I've been saying this to everybody. I think they don't want to go.
No.
I think they try. Pop. It looks bad on Pop at the end of the day, because it's like, this is Coach Popovich. He's supposed to be blah blah blah. I think they like, man, fuck that. If we can lose enough of these games here, we do not have to go.
Well, also they're playing in a bubble again. You're playing in the same bubble that no one wanted to play in. You're playing it again, sort of in it. I mean, they're not, but there's no fans.
No. I know what you're saying. Yeah. They don't want to deal with. They don't
want to do that again.
They don't want to do that shit again. And I mean, can you? And that's the thing. When you look at what the NBA players have to go through, like, and again, even the players who play for the NBA who are playing for their home countries, some just want the honor of playing for their home country. I get it. But the NBA players that are from America, they like, yo, I just went through being on regular lockdown, being on lockdown to finish my season, coming back from a quick season, potentially having games missed because one or two people might have COVID. I'm good. Let me knock this out. We can lose. I don't care.
Right.
Because everybody like, how are they losing? Intentionally. There's no way the fucking all-star team, you know what I'm saying? Not the all-star team of what from the East and the West combined. I was
rewatching the Redeem Team, some of the stuff, because I recorded it back in the day.
Yeah.
Some of the Redeem Team stuff. Oh my gosh. That's so much fun to watch them.
It's like watching them, but it's like, I get it. But what can you say, man? I'm just, we're learning as a society that society is stupid.
Yeah.
This is something when people, this is how stupid I see on Twitter and Facebook. I have a lot of comic friends who all of a sudden want to become conspiracy theorists, right? And the first thing, oh man, all of a sudden now there's all these COVID variants. Yeah, it's a virus. What the fuck are you talking about?
Every virus has a variant of it. Even the flu. They do their best, but that's what it...
Exactly.
Yeah.
because I'm the same way. I'm like I said, I don't know if you saw Blurs. Like I said, the designation of the corona of COVID-19 is SARS-CoV-2, which lets you know it's an evolution of the SARS virus.
Yeah, the only weird thing I mentioned in the chat that's weird is like when Pfizer's like, well, now go get a third shot because that'll boost it up too. And I'm like, okay, that's
Well, I mean, there are.
moving in things. And so whenever you start to change stuff like that, it's like, okay, so how? I just want to know how often I need to get the thing.
Well, that I
obviously
agree with
we're
that.
okay because we have J&J, but it's like, why is J&J so much different than this Pfizer one?
Well,
That they're
because
like, get another one.
because the way they change, I think the way their formulas, I think because the J&J is the RNA formula tailored to viruses RNA. So as the virus mutates, the vaccine can adapt to it, something like that. The way it's programmed,
Right?
But also, here's the thing: when we're talking about Pfizer and Moderna, even Johnson and Johnson to an extent, we're talking about two big pharmaceutical companies that, if you say you need a third shot, guess what that means? It doesn't mean just you need a third shot. It means the government has to pay them again.
Yeah.
To develop a third shot. At the end of the day,
Pfizer. Not Pfizer. Pfizer was the one that was not on that.
Oh, so
Pfizer was the one that was on it. J&J and Moderna were the ones that were on it. Pfizer was the one that famously said we don't need it. They were the ones that got the ground running first because they didn't need the Operation Warp Speed money to go. So they just went ahead. So they're profiting all of it kind of in a way. But the government still.
Pfizer, I'm sorry, Pfizer has the money. I'm sorry. Pfizer made Viagra. They're good.
Yeah, they're good.
You know, and that's another thing too. People like, oh, we don't know the side effects of how this is going to affect people in 5 to 10 years. We do. They can put that's what incubators and everything are for. You know,
the worst fear with the Johnson Johnson was like if you got a blood clot, but who's gonna get a blood clot?
And that is only if you're a woman with a very rare condition.
Yeah, we were kind of explaining that in the chat to someone that was like a conspiracy nut in the thing about like not wanting to get the shot and things. I'm like,
but that's
a certain point. That's your own.
And you know, when people say, I agree sometimes when people say media perpetrates a lot of fear mongering, no matter what, because fear sells. Fear is like sex. It sells. It makes people want to watch it and buy into it. No matter how much people say they don't want it, they ingest it consistently. Now, when you take that fear, CNN does it, MSNBC does it, because of course headlines draw people. But Fox News is the worst because all their anchors are vaccinated. And they will sit here up and down and be like, I don't believe in the vaccination. All of y'all are vaccinated.
Yeah. You know, allowed you to go back into the studio.
The only way you were going to go back into the studio. Like, you can play that whole game of, well, we respect everybody. Personal liberty is one thing, but you're talking about a global health pandemic, which, again, is still going on. I don't know how people keep forgetting. I keep seeing people going, man, you know, when we were back in the pandemic is over. Since when?
It's not, but I think a lot of people are doing that because like movie theaters are reopened, and so it's like, oh, it's over now. That thing is back open and at full capacity, so we're in there. Like, that's sort of a problem.
Yeah, tell people like, ain't shit over. Like, that's how that's not even oblivious, how selfish the United States is. That's how selfish the United States is to think, oh yeah, the pandemic's over when the rest of the world is being affected even hard. Because I don't know if you and I talked about this last month, how we were the country that started all this backwards thinking and acting and, oh, this virus is a hoax. It's not real. It's the new world order. It's all this other stupid shit. And we're the first ones to get vaccinated and to start trying to move back to a sense of normalcy, right? But yet the rest of the world is being fucked. Like Brazil tore off, India catching it.
Yeah.
You know, Japan is consistently having outbreaks. And yet here in America, in the United States, we're acting as if, oh man, I don't know what's going on with the rest of the world, but ain't no pandemic here. Yes, it is.
So to change topics a little bit, so we're not just going heavy all the time.
Yeah,
because we can just keep talking about COVID, and then it's just like it becomes a nonstop circle. Just keep circling back to it over and over again. Jay, you still there?
Oh yeah, my camera and my mic went out.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, wait.
No, I was here. It was like my mic. So for some reason, when I hit the cord on my mic on this one, when I'm in StreamYard, it'll say my mic was unplugged. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But I can be on Zoom, anything else, and they don't say it. But go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
No. When are we going to see your redneck character come in on your stand-up? You got to bring that out in some way, man.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I've been over the past several weeks. I sat back and I was like, because I'm consistently writing new material to do on stage, right? And I'm always thinking of stuff that either I've lived through or go through more than just trying to be observational. Because I've always been, when I first started, and this started to be a drawn out story, but I always started observational, and now I had to learn to be more relatable, which I'm doing. I say that because I started realizing I say shit on Blurs and go on a tangent that I'm like, why am I not saying this on stage? And the problem becomes I'll say it or do it during Blurs, and after the show is done, I forget. So unless I rewatch the shows,
right,
I don't, remember so much what I did. That redneck one, I'm going to, if I can remember what episode I did it on, I'm going to take everything I did out that and do it again and do it on stage. Because I got a bunch of shows coming up, and especially over the summer, before shit shuts down. I'm trying to, get a lot of more stuff out. And so I want to actually do that on stage. I want to do it just because because I want to point out the absurdity of it. And that's why.
Yeah. That's exactly what I got from it. And I think that Winston Jackson was great, by the way. Too.
Thank you. Because so I have a bit I started doing about a couple of weeks ago. Matter of fact, it started right after Juneteenth. It was because we talked about it on the show. And so right after Juneteenth, I did this whole thing. I was like, I said, so yeah, they made Juneteenth a federal holiday, and people never fails. People in the audience clap. Yeah, I was like, don't clap that shit. I said, this is another case of black people asked for one thing, and you gave us another. I say, black people asked for the police to stop shooting black men like they playing Nintendo's Duck Hunt. And you were like, we give you Juneteenth. It was like, yo, but y'all decided to make it a holiday on the year that it was on a Saturday. No one cared. Make this shit a holiday on a day like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. You know what I'm saying? And so I use that to say, I've said so many different things on Blurs, and I'm starting to try to remember them when I say it. And I have a funny moment happen that like really resonates and rolls. And so I'm like, okay, let me see if I can translate that onto the stage. And
yeah, so that was great. So have you caught up on Superman and Lois yet?
No, I'll be honest, I did not. I started, it got so every time I tried to catch up on stuff,
it just
gets like, I'm surprised that the one show that I am caught up on, and I only am caught up on it because I like to watch the drama that unfolds behind the scenes, is The Flash.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with that show.
I just like the behind the scenes shit I keep finding out. I'm like, oh, when I hear about the behind the scenes stuff and I'm watching, I'm like, oh, you can tell this and that now when you watch it. And so, Superman and Lois, I kept hearing it was going one way, and you were telling me about it, and a couple other people were like, it's good, but then it gets weird, and it's like, what's happening?
Well, the main issue is the villain. You have to have great villains, and they don't have a good one, and they can't fix that with how they've kind of done Morgan Edge. And Diggle made his random appearance on the show, so it is in the universe. Now, Diggle showed up and is like, yo, we work together, and they're basically on the same Earth. He basically didn't know that they were in Smallville or moved to Smallville, but he shows up and gives him a weapon from Argus.
Okay, so wait.
Yeah.
So does Clark know about Crisis?
They didn't even touch on that because of where Clark. So basically, they're all coming in to stop Clark because he's kind of getting brainwashed, and that's what they bring in Diggle to bring in a weapon from Lila to kind of stop him, but he didn't know about it, and then then he gets pissed because Sam tried to play him and stuff like that. And that's pretty much his role. It's like a few minutes. It's great to see Ramsey, but it's like, guys, you couldn't even. He never even interacts with Superman at all.
He
interacts with Lois a little bit and the kids and with Irons, which is kind of a cool moment. But
I am really wondering, because everybody feels it, and it's like, are they finna pull this trigger? Because with him and the Green Lantern. Because I don't know if you saw the episode of The Flash he was on.
Yeah, it seemed like that was the most. He should be the Lantern in the Lantern. I mean, I don't care whether it's John Stewart. Just make John Diggle that version of the Green Lantern.
Just make him.
He's him in everything but the name. And it's only. And if the Green Arrow writers had known that is who Diggle would have been, they would have just called him Stewart. They would have just done that. But they didn't know how much he was going to be.
Except because he was a made-up character.
Yeah.
Because like for those watching who don't know, they made up Diggle for Arrow. Diggle got so popular, they had to put him in the comic. They were like, oh shit. So again, like, yeah, I don't think they ever had Green Lantern plans because again.
No, and they wouldn't have let them do it because that was when they were so much against them doing that. Because they had Deathstroke so prominent, and then when they started to bring in Deathstroke for the movie, they're like, okay, we got to kind of clamp down on that a little bit. We got to be a little quieter.
I am so upset. That upset me because I get why Warner at large did it, because like you want to have the rights to it. I get it, but to have it go nowhere, literally, and yeah, Titans used it. Titans did it
because then they start loosening up on stuff because now Red Hood's going to be in the new season of Teen Titan and all this stuff. It's like, okay, did you see that Teen Titan? Oh, you did a trailer reaction to it, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I that was one I checked out on the first season, like 3 episodes in. I
can get it. I can get it. I can understand it, and I said it in my reaction because I'm like, the first season is so dark, and I don't mean just in the story. I mean you can barely see shit. It's so dark, and I
love Snyder. I love how Snyder shoots stuff, but this is like darker than that.
This was like
it's like black. It's not brown or beige or know that thing where you're muting it out. And then the characters are darker too. At least when Snyder does it, it still let the characters kind of be bigger than life, kind of thing, which is kind of what he goes for.
I told everybody. I said the whole purpose of my whole belief is the purpose of fucking Titans season 1, and they started doing it just to go into season 2, was to turn Robin into Nightwing. It wasn't about the Titans, really. It was just, we gonna watch Robin become Nightwing. That's it.
Which I'd rather it just be called Nightwing and then have other people come in and out. Nightwing's a great character, and Foites is great. I like him in the role. I like that darker take kind of on it in that context, but then you have these other things. I'm like, the central contact is his anger with Bruce Wayne and focusing on that, and that should be the through line of him trying not to be that version of Batman. But how do you change from the way your father kind of raised you to be? Like, how do you change? So that should have just been the through line all the way through.
Yeah, and the way they decided to start it was not only was it the fuck Batman line, which was like, all right, whatever. That was the show.
It was also delivered weird. It just sounded like a teen being
because it was trying to
his dad.
Yeah, it's trying to be edgy. And then you have him burning the Robin suit. So I was like, all right, we know what's finna happen with this. Like they finna burn the Robin suit, and then you go forward. But then you introduce Jason Todd, and I was like, huh? And then he gets his Robin suit back at a point. I'm like, I'm confused.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so now he's Nightwing. Okay, bet. Again, the evolution of what this show is supposed to be is cool. Then you get Starfire. All right, I'm cool with it. You're bringing in Blackfire. Cool. Raven is not Raven.
No, it's a weird thing of it. And Hawk and Dove are fine. They don't really do much for me. They're just there.
They're there. It's Alan Richardson and Minka Kelly Just, people know him. People can attach themselves to him. Boom. Cool.
The original Aquaman.
The original Aquaman. And so then you go and you say, all right, we're going to bring in Donna Troy. We're going to bring in Wonder Girl. All right. Okay. I can deal with it.
Yeah.
Then you decide to give us Superboy.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
So what universe are we in? Where are we with this? They don't really explain that from what I understand very well. It's just there.
He's there. Because again, we just know that he's made by Luthor Corps. No, he wasn't made by he was made by the fuck is that other one? It's not, god damn it. I can't remember. It's one of the other things.
I know the Smallville one was he was just a clone of Clark and Lex. He's a combination of both.
Right.
Which I thought was a cool way to do that. That was a cool way to do that and dovetail that storyline and make it mean something.
Because it's like, oh, you're two fathers. Because I think they kind of do it the same way. Yeah, Project Cadmus.
Yeah,
so,
yep, it was the same thing. It was Cat and Miss on.
It was Cadmus, the same thing in Titans. So they do the same thing where it's like he's a clone of both, right? Okay, cool. But you're like, what do we do? We're getting all these Titans. You brought in Crypto, which for me was the best thing ever. I was like, we got the goddamn dog. And they made Crypto badass. But again, it's like the Titans, what are we going to do with them? Like, again, you this whole thing is going to be Red Hood. And if all of them are needed to beat the Red Hood, that's a problem.
Well, they said it's a new Red Hood, too, in the trailer. They called him a new Red Hood, as if there was another one before.
No, that's just
what they said.
Yeah, that's just
the dialogue. I definitely picked that out. I'm like, this seems like the regular Red Hood story, and the way you're setting it up seems like those Red Hood.
Think it's just he's the first. He's Red because like it's just this new Red Hood because that's when they say when it's a new villain.
Yeah.
But again, if it's just Jason Todd, there is no reason all the Titans need to be involved to try to fight him. If they can't beat him, that's something wrong.
Because well, it seems like they may be setting up like two missions, one that the teens are doing and one that Dick is taking on. Because it seems like he's like because at one point in the trailer he goes, "The Titans got this."
Well, yeah, because
like
I know
he's going to take on the role of Batman while they go deal with this other thing going on.
Yeah, because I know that Starfire is going to deal with Blackfire, so I think that's what the Titans themselves are dealing with.
So you could have two like AB stories throughout each episode that way. At least that way.
I'm fine with it. It's so. DC is. I understand Marvel's doing it now with the multiverse. DC has always leaned into it, but to me, it's like, yeah, I'm one of those people that's just like, yo, can y'all just make a through line and make it just.
Yeah, or if you're gonna, when they say things too, like the Snyder stuff's behind them after they did the Snyder cut, but then the trailer they released that week after Ann Sarnoff made those comments is Suicide Squad, where the first executive producer listed for the Suicide Squad is Zack Snyder. It's pretty funny.
But you do realize that wasn't Warner that wanted to release the Snyder cut.
No. I just the fact that she said that at the same time, and then the Suicide Squad trailer dropped after her interview that week, and there she's like, we're moving on, we're moving past it, and then the first executive producer listed is Zack Snyder before his wife even.
Well, they're moving past his project. Well, like that's one of the things when he signed on, he signed a contract to be like he signed a dope contract where he's going to be executive producer for a lot of stuff, which is fine. But as far as director and creator, he won't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're done with that. But again, it's just,
and he's done with them. I mean, I don't think he had any indication of going back. You don't do the 2 and 3, like where he did the storyline outboards. You don't do that unless you're like never gonna plan to finish those. That's why you release those as comic strips.
That number one, I agree with you, and also like the people who've also been saying you're not gonna get all them actors back. And Warner Brothers is not the last thing Warner Brothers. I don't give a fuck how much people complain on and rally for them on Twitter. Warner Brothers don't want to deal with Ray Fisher no more.
They don't.
And again,
He's great, but
he's a great dude. And I I heard it from a couple of showrunner buddies of mine, and it made sense. Here's the problem with Ray Fisher now, and this is, again, some people are going to be like, how can you say that? Showrunners aren't going to want to take too much of a chance on him, because if something goes wrong, he can sit there and go to the internet and say it was racism, even if it's not. And now you run to have the Twitter mob behind people, and don't nobody want to deal with that. Like the shit that happened, you know, when you see Snyder's Justice League versus Whedon's Justice League, and you see how they chopped all his shit out. When you hear about the stuff with his barber, I get all that. I understand it. That seems real bullshitty. But when you think about, you know, and yes, that may be racially motivated, but the fact is, now that you've made that standard that you'll say that, you have people who look at it like, because that's with anything. People are, oh, if something go wrong, he gonna claim racism, she gonna claim racism, or they gonna claim sexism. And I get to the side of wanting to avoid that, because it's like, then you got to try to appease a person for every single thing. And it's like, is Ray Fisher that level talent that you need to make sure you're appeasing him hand and foot? Is he an A-list level talent? No. If this was a Denzel Washington, different story. This is a Regina King.
Or even Jonathan Majors now.
Or Jonathan Majors. You're going to make sure these talents are all, everything you need is okay. We need you more than you need us. That's how we feel. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And that's not the case with Ray. But I was talking to I was in a car with one of my who was in the car with, and we were talking about it. And was like, yo, when you realize that Joss Whedon came on. Matter of fact, it was yesterday. I went in the car. I was shooting yesterday. I was on set. So Snyder got fired, right? Yeah. People don't know that.
No. I know that. My main thing is like Warner Brothers should have just said that, because we know how the industry works. The industry doesn't work where you go, oh, I'm going to pass it off to my buddy Joss Whedon, who neither one of you look at film the same way. That's not how that works. It's like the J.J. Abrams Rian Johnson thing. It's like two completely different directors. They don't look at film the same way. Why you'd have them do the same franchise, I don't know.
Makes no sense.
Whedon could make a cool Justice League. I have never been as high on Whedon, even in like I appreciate what he did with Avengers and how he wrote the film. I think anybody could have directed that and made it work. And then also, obviously, Age of Ultron, he stuffed too much stuff in there, and some of his worst tendencies kind of get in there. But he could build a cool version of Justice League, but it can't be those actors. Those actors have with the exception of Ezra, they have no comedic bone in their bodies to really be able to work those jokes.
Actually, Ben Affleck does.
Affleck does to a degree. But that Bruce Wayne, we never saw that, so that's the problem.
Right. Whedon would have had to build this from the ground.
Exactly.
He would have had to build it from scratch. You gave him 6 established characters already and was like, do what you do, fam. Take the rest of this.
Yeah, but But also, like, I've read the bad Wonder Woman script he wrote a long time ago, and that thing is something else. It's like,
I mean, sometimes you're like, yo, we all caught a blessing that certain people didn't do certain shit. You know, we're like, whew, thank God Joss Whedon didn't do this. You know, when you hear certain ideas, it's like, all right, because
and two, he loves to relate to humanity. So even in Angel and Buffy, it was all about Angel being more human.
Right.
And Buffy is about, I don't want to be the special person. I want to be more like a normal human. And Zach could not care less about that. He cares more about the God thing that we kind of worship, or trying to understand them versus them coming down to our level, that sort of stuff. And so it's just interesting. I just found it so funny when Whedon did get that. I mean, again, he had done a little bit more than what the Russos did when they got Winter Soldier, but not much. He just did Serenity, really. But most of his stuff, like when he went to Fox, those series all flopped ratings-wise.
Well,
And then,
but again, Warner Brothers only grabbed Whedon because they were like, he knows how to do a massive team up movie with superheroes. You look, regardless, you and I both said, yeah, he threw too much in Age of Ultron, but regardless, those two movies, Avengers and Age of Ultron, killed at the box office.
they did.
And that's all Warner Brothers saw. This is the director that made these movies.
But it was the process to get there that allowed them to do it, and that's what they missed on.
That's
what they didn't
missed.
get. It doesn't matter if you put Superman and Batman in your film if they've never seen those before. And also, going into Batman v Superman, very few people like the casting. Very few people were like, "Yo, Ben Affleck's gonna knock it out of the park," and Gal Gadot is amazing. No one thought that.
Bro,
that's one thing.
Gal
Snyder can cast the hell out of a film.
He can cast it. Gal Gadot, everybody was like, "Wait, the woman from Fast and the Furious movie, her?
Okay, not Jane Alexander. Like, okay, we're gonna go there. Okay, cool."
But you just throw your hands in there, like, okay.
And even Adrian Palicki in that failed Wonder Woman thing would have made sense for that.
Ooh, let's not talk about how brutal that one was.
Yeah. But she could have. As far as stature and what you would come to expect, she could have fit that, and it worked. It obviously worked.
But yeah, I mean, it's a matter of what goes forward. But when it comes to the multiple universes for DC, like at the Crisis supposedly was like, listen, we're letting you know what's in what. Okay, cool. I was like, thank you. This worked.
It's like they want it to never exist. It's like it never. Nope. Our bad.
Yeah, we didn't mean to tell. That's the problem. It's like we didn't really mean for y'all to know this. It's like, can you not do that?
And then there was those different. The thing that bothered me was there was those weird talks about bringing Green Arrow back with Oliver. Basic talks where Stephen Amell was talking briefly about trying to come back in some form with the Green Arrow. I'm like, what are we doing? You chose a direction. You need to stick to it. I could care less if it's in multiple universes. Just tell me that that's what it is, and just go forward with that. But if you're going to play both sides of it, it doesn't work well.
Stephen Amell, he thought he was going to be an action star. He thought because he had been in the Green Arrow, which Arrow was relatively successful at the time. Because after season 2, if season 2 would have been the last season of Arrow, it would have been the greatest thing ever. Right?
Yeah, I like season 3, and I like the final season. I did like the final season, how they did most of that.
Well, but this is what I'm saying, though. We had to get there because there are many people who are really it's teeter-totter with season 3 with the Ra's al Ghul season, right?
Yeah.
Season 4, people are like, nah.
It lost the ground. Throwing some Ra's al Ghul is okay because essentially, if you're going to do Green Arrow, you have to do it as a replacement of Batman. And that's what otherwise, it ain't going to work. So you can do Ra's al Ghul. When you start to add the magic, it doesn't work as well. Versus, when they put Damien Dark in Legends, that fits. That makes perfect sense. Put him in that stuff.
Because you put him with Malcolm Merlyn and Eobard Thawne. That Legion of Doom was the best. First of all, you had 3 amazing actors.
Yep.
You have 3 amazing actors together. And you like this is nothing but just joy for everybody.
Well, it was so great when Neil McDonough joined the Arrow in season 4. It was right after he came off of Justified. It was like that next season he jumped from Justified season 3 right to that. So it was just like, oh, this is an easy. It was like the same character. It was so funny, but it was.
And again, it wasn't like he wasn't familiar with comic book universe because he's in Captain America: The First Avenger.
Nope. Yep, and he's back as he'll be in What If, too.
He'll be in What If.
He's voicing. Yep.
So you get that, but then you get season 4. Like I said, that's the Damien Dark. Everybody move. Season 5, it picks back up with the Prometheus season because then shit got wild. Everybody's like,
the rags and all that stuff, right? Wasn't that with
the rag man and stuff?
Yeah.
I kind of was like, that part I didn't get, but I'm kind of glad the writers and the showrunners realized nobody really feeling this one. So we need to figure out how to make it where his shit just don't work no more.
The Mayor Queen stuff was cool. I like the Mayor Queen side of it, but then that took down the action side of him being Green Arrow a little bit, of him being in the suit a little bit.
That was the point where he was like, I'm the mayor, where they was like, bro, you need to put on this leather outfit and go and swing from some cables. So, but then the Prometheus stuff happens. You have the Mare Queen, but then it was like, all right, you can see that people. Then we started doing the bringing Mia and William in from the future, and we did a whole season of that just to set up the Crisis thing, which I was like, that made no sense, because even at the end of Arrow, when they had everything play into Star City 2049, I was like, why did they go to the future? They didn't need to. They could have stayed right where they were. You send Mia, if you look, Mia Queen's just here now. Look.
Yep, just keep her here, and you have a Green Arrow.
Yep, Mia Queen's here, and just you have a Green Arrow. That's it.
Yep.
You know,
and you can bring Felicity in for a couple guest spots every once in a while. You know, if you wanted the mother-daughter thing.
I didn't realize how much people hated online that relationship.
The Felicity Oliver Queen.
Uh-huh.
I didn't hate it. I think they focused on it too much at certain points where it became the overarching thing, their drama versus saving the city. And so I never really had that was not my main problem. My main problem was the villains, and you couldn't reach one as strong as Deathstroke that connected to Oliver's past and his present state. And they never were able to make that.
But I think that's the thing, though, because you just brought it up earlier. You're doing Green Arrow. You basically are doing Batman Light, right? So you only have a small amount of villains that can really work for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You only have a very few. You've already done superhero movies and TV shows. They have this thing of, we're going to treat our first season and first movie like it's the only one we're going to get. So we're going to give you their main nemesis out the gate, right? I get it, but sometimes it leaves you hanging on trying to figure out who to follow it.
They did a good job with Merlin, though. I think they should have found a way to keep the I'm blanking on the best friend, but Tommy. I think they should have. Yeah, I know he got cast in something else, so that was cool. Don't blame him for taking a better paying gig. But I think it'd been cool to keep him in there a little bit more, because when they did bring him back, it was Colin O'Donnell killed that. He was so good in that first season. That latter half of that first season was like, okay, I could see where it was going. I knew someone was getting sacrificed. It was either him or Malcolm.
It really took a turn for me when I liked the way they did the reveal to Tommy. How he was like, I need you to trust me. When he had the voice changer on, and Tommy's like, why should I trust you? And he goes, because you always have. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a great
that was good.
Like I said, the first season built up well. The Merlin, because again, Merlin is his greatest adversary. Perfect, right? You go to Deathstroke. Great. But then you do Ra's al Ghul. The problem with that becomes Ra's is such a big thing where if you dispose of Ra's, then you basically have the whole League of Assassins, League of Shadows, whichever one you're going to use in Star City now. Just killing everybody.
Yeah, and the way they got out of that was strange. I mean, and the Flash has had the same problem. They've never been able to capture the same thing they got in season one. But that season one is the best first season of any superhero show ever. But and maybe the best single season, too.
The Zoom season was pretty decent.
Yeah, I like some of that, though. The betrayal's the same as what he had before, so I was hoping they would do something different with that. When he betrayed him again, you could go, they just did the same thing with Eobard Vaughn.
Yeah, yeah.
And then they just kept doing speedsters. I like the Thinker thing.
I loved it because it was so different. I loved it when they did the Thinker.
I wanted more of that. I want more Mirror Master. I like the twist on it with the female Mirror Master thing. That was cool.
I was so happy. When they did Savitar, my biggest problem with them doing Savitar was you wait till the show's about to end when you know it's your last season
to do Savitar.
Yeah. Because who is Savitar? Savitar is him.
Yeah.
His worst enemy is himself. Now we're doing this whole thing with the gods.
Basically, like Smallville season 10. It was all about the darkness getting to Clark and him having to overcome himself to be the best hero that he could be and finally be Superman. Which is why, like, I know some people don't like season 10 because they didn't get the dark side they wanted, but I love that season and how it brought it back to the Luthors. You know, so it actually did come full circle eventually.
Well, you know, some people, you know, I think it's the same way when it comes to like the Marvel shows too. Like now, how you get some people who get upset because they get mad at the show because they didn't get something they weren't promised.
Well, they also don't know how TV works, but that's fine. Like that's how TV shows don't always work that way, where there's nothing that was hinted at that they did not reveal in these shows.
Oh,
they never hinted at Mephisto. Really, if you want to look at from Mephisto in WandaVision, that's your own problem. That was never. Versus Loki, they constantly talked about there's someone in charge of the timekeepers. There's someone in charge of the timekeepers.
Oh, but I knew that.
So if you didn't reveal, we all knew who it was. But I mean, if they didn't reveal that, then you'd be like, so if you didn't get a Kang or somebody in that last episode, then you could be like, okay, that was wrong. But
I knew when they said I knew it was Kang off jump. Yeah. I knew because again, I said time, and I knew the spin when in episode 1 when they were in the church and they pointed at the devil on the stained glass window. I was like, I know what they're doing. I was like, they did it on purpose. Like they literally sitting there saying, so people were like, oh my God, it's Mephisto again. If you know how we got to wrap it up, but if you know how Marvel and Disney and China works, you can't use the devil overseas. You can't use the devil. So Mephisto will never have people are like, well, they could. And they're not going to do that. Mm-mm. But listen, man, as always, these are great conversations. These are a lot of fun. I love talking with you, man. Tell the people in the Supervillain Squad how they can find you and what you got going on.
Yeah, man. So I'm still the managing editor at theintersectionmedia.com. I write about movies, TV, everything from comic books to I'm going to watch Space Jam after this, which should be something. And you can follow me at Chris_intersect.
Cool. Make sure y'all follow him, man. Keep up everything he's doing. That's one of the things I like doing here with the squad, is connecting people with they got their projects and whatnot, and having everybody work together to try to make things happen. That's what I want for you all. Also, follow me, Twitter, Instagram. Y'all already know the drill. Blurs in the Hood. We might be permanently going nighttime. We don't know yet. Stay tuned as of right now. But if you're seeing this, so the week of the 21st, whatever that is, will be 6 p.m. Blah, 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 blah. Holla at y'all later for another one. Chris, don't go anywhere. I'll talk to y'all next time. Stay tuned. I'm out. Bye.